So, hey everybody, I'm here with Doub Pearce to preview the second half of my interview with Pat Cloud, which, for those of you hearing this right away, that'll be out in the next day or so. And many of you might recognize Doub's name from either Banjo Hangout or other places on the internet or real life, maybe even. But he's a real talented banjo player, also a talented bass player. Doub, real quick, give us a rundown of your experience as a musician, such as notable groups or credentials or performances that you've been a part of yourself.
Yeah, I started playing guitar and horns when I was in grammar school, and then that just kind of carried me through life. I found out early on that if I played football, I'd be done by the time I was 20, and if I played banjo, I could play it into my 60s and 70s, which is what's happening today. But I played in bands as a teenager, both bluegrass type bands and pop bands. Played every Friday and Saturday night at a local coffee house for half a dozen years or so. Got a little more involved in playing professionally in my college years. But, it was always kind of improvisational bluegrass music and improvisational jazz that drew me. I like a lot of pop music, but it wears thin on me really quick. Anyway, yeah, so when I turned 24, my guitar playing roommate decided he wanted to go to the Guitar Institute of Technology in Southern California. So I said, yeah, I'll go with you. And I took $1,600 and moved to LA and got work as a bass player right away and was working in music stores and stuff. But that's when it really kind of clicked in that I realized I could make a living as a musician. So over the course of the next 10 years, I toured with not like huge name acts, but I worked with a guy named Gary Puckett from Gary Puckett and the Union Gap. He had a bunch of hits. His claim to fame, he always told me, was in 1969 he sold more records than the Beatles. So,
oh, and that's true?
It's true.
Oh, I would never have guessed that, but that's really cool.
So, but it was, his stuff and then kind of a nostalgia type rundown of hits of the 60s type thing. And that we played a lot of Vegas and Reno things. And then we got asked to be one of the opening acts for Joan Rivers, the comedian. And so we were her band and toured with her for about a year. And she's just the greatest. I love that lady. Just the nicest lady I've ever met and funny as you can be. But then after that, I worked with a guy named John Schneider, who was the blonde guy in Dukes of Hazzard. I was his music director. He was trying to make a switch from country to pop music. Worked on stage with Johnny Cash one time. Played in a group called Brush Arbor, which was a kind of a contemporary bluegrass group that was with Capitol Records in the early, like in the John Denver days. They had a couple of hits. But yeah, then my wife and I wanted to have a family, and I wanted to do something differently, so I got into the TV and film industry. But I've always played. My music has been the constant in my life. So yeah, and in the later years, I got really interested in jazz and thicker music.
Yeah, very cool. Well, and as part of the backdrop of why we're having this bonus episode here, it's because listeners are going to hear a bit from you during the interview. So not only do I not want them to be disoriented hearing this other mysterious voice that keeps popping up.
Sorry.
But also kind of it was a great help, great addition. But you also deserve a lot of credit for making the interview happen at all. So thanks for that. But you were able to do that because you're a personal friend of Pat's. And why don't you take it from there? Talk about how you know Pat. And I feel like I even remember you saying that Pat was singularly someone who like drew you to the area. Like, were you trying to seek him out?
Yep. I was playing music growing up in Southern Florida, and I had been playing bluegrass banjo for a while, but like most things that I get involved in, I know this is sacrilegious to say this, but traditional bluegrass banjo was starting to bore me. I wanted to do other things. And so I'd heard of this guy on the West Coast named Pat Cloud who was playing bebop on the 5-string banjo. And I thought, oh man, I've got to go there. And so that was part of the move. Actually, that was a huge part of the thing that finally kicked me into the move to Los Angeles. And so as soon as I got here, I looked him up. He was living behind John Hickman's house, the banjo player, John Hickman, in an Airstream. And I called him up. I said, hey, I want to learn how to play jazz. Can you, give me a lesson? And he did. And the first lesson he gave me just was so overwhelming that I said, I can't do it. I'll never understand it like this guy does. Luckily, 30 years later, I sort of do. So it's like I stuck with it long enough. But
so you're ready for your second lesson?
Ready for lesson number 2. Yes. And then through the years, Pat and I played together a few times, along with a lot of the other Southern California acoustic string musicians. And, we have it's not a close friendship because we don't see each other all the time, but it's one of those things that's a very fun relationship because when we talk, it's just wide open and lots of laughs. He is just one of the funnest hangs.
Yeah, he's a hoot. Part of, thanking you for making it happen is because, Pat, in his own words, describing himself, he's kind of notorious for not really being a self-promoter. He doesn't do media. He's just not out there doing stuff like this. So, in fact, initially he had declined your idea for getting us together while I was out west for the interview. So how did you convince him to change his mind?
I was completely taken aback when he said no. I said, why? Why would you not want to do this? But he said, he I think he leans towards the conspiracy theorist side of him too much. And I'll make fun of him sometimes and say, hey, is this going to be one of your tinfoil hat days? And he'll laugh at himself and say, oh yeah, I got a closet full of them. But, but he's, at that point in time, he didn't want to be on the internet for any reason whatsoever, but I didn't convince him. I was just talking to him a couple of months later and he goes, hey, by the way, in his very self-effacing way, he said, by the way, I'm an idiot. Of course I want to do that interview. I don't know why I wouldn't think that I wanted to do that interview. So please tell Keith, I'm so sorry that I reacted like that and that I really want to do it. And if we can make it work out, I will. But that's Pat. That's the way he operates.
That's really cool. And just to be clear, I'm totally cool with anyone saying no for any reason. We weren't pressuring him, but I'm really glad that through his own self-realization or for any words that you put in, I'm glad we were able to make that happen because it was really fun.
Me too.
And you also had a lot to do with the interview because you facilitated or arranged for the studio time, which I'm extremely grateful for. And the fact that we had such a great, relaxed environment to be in was definitely part of the reason that it's such a long interview and, is now in 2 parts plus a bonus episode. Tell us about your job. It's kind of a cool job for people to hear about and how you were able to line that all up.
I think I mentioned earlier that something about wanting to have a family, and it kind of pushed me into looking for other jobs that I could do well but still we're in the entertainment business. And I kind of accidentally stumbled in, with my brother-in-law's help, I stumbled into the television and film audio post-production business and for years worked on shows. But then I'm going on my 20th year at NBC Universal now. And I've been there in their promo production department. So we do all the media for NBC Universal worldwide. And it's right there on the Universal, for people who've been to Universal Studios in Los Angeles, it's right there on the back lot in a building on the 4th floor. And it's just, it's just a great job. I'm very thankful that they allowed us to do the recording there because all the gear was there. My good friend Ron Gerard provided the mics and stuff. So it was easy to make it, to have it come together with their help.
Yeah, that was really nice to have that available for sure. Now, not only will people hear your voice as somewhat of a co-host, you were able to, capitalize on your rapport with Pat to ask some good questions, but they'll also hear your bass playing. And one of the coolest things from probably any episode that I've done is that a good portion of this upcoming part 2 ended up being a jam session / demonstration of Pat's jazz exercises, which was a real treat. So yeah, thanks also for being prepared with the bass to hop into that type of situation too.
Glad to do it. It's Pat's one of those caliber of musician that I actually had the bass sitting there ready to go, hoping that he would want to do something. So I'm always happy to be able to play with a guy like that.
Yeah, well, it added a lot, as listeners will no doubt experience when they listen to that second part.
I hope so. I hope I didn't
you're also
clam
good,
too much.
No, I didn't hear any, or I can auto tune them.
Okay,
if I did.
Good.
You're also a good teacher, which leads me to point out that anyone who is interested in a lot of the jazz concepts that they're going to hear Pat bring up, or that, just interested in playing jazz in general, you have a really great YouTube channel for both banjo players and guitar players. Do you want to pitch that or talk about what types of videos you have up there?
Sure. I'll just briefly, because it's a very kind of a niche thing. I think my first posts on YouTube were probably 10 or 11 years ago, and horrible videos. I was doing stuff like, I won't even explain it, but the video's bad and the playing is bad and the ideas are bad. So they're still up there, but it's
well, I take back everything I said. Then right. they're total crap.
No. They got better.
Oh, okay, good.
But over the years, I just liked. I usually would be working on something myself and want to share that, so I would just make a video of it and throw it up on YouTube. In the later years, I also have done some bass videos and things like that, but it's everything from how to play Old Joe Clark harmonized, or to playing 2-5-1s in 12 keys, that kind of stuff. It's a wide, it's from giant steps to Foggy Mountain Breakdown on the guitar. It's like that kind of stuff. But lately, my biggest video, this amazes me that this happens, but my biggest video, in terms of views, was just called Bluegrass Banjo on the guitar. And so the way I play guitar is with the high E string tuned down to a D. So the top four strings in tone, the top four strings are D, G, B, D. And so that's 5-string banjo. So I just play 5-string banjo tunes on the guitar. And I put that thing up and it got, 65,000 views in no time.
No kidding.
I have no idea why. But that one, then I've got other ones. I've got ones that I think are cool, like how to play Giant Steps chord melody on the 5-string banjo has like 13 views over 5 years.
Yeah, so, well, maybe we'll get you up to like 15 or 16.
That would be awesome.
After this one.
Awesome. So the YouTube thing is of course, my daughter connected it. I don't know if you want to talk about this, but the podcast is called Harmony and Improvisation.
That was going to be my next question. Is that sort of similar topics? Yeah. Keep going with that. Tell us.
My family, my wife and my kids, who all kind of took music classes from me as they were going up through school, they think, I don't know if this is true, but they think I have a unique way of teaching music that helps them. They were all music majors, and so by the time they went to music school, they were able to just skate right through their theory classes because they already had it all, And so they've been bugging me for years to do something like this. And so my daughter, Molly Hazel, who is a 5-string banjo player, and she's actually in a lot of the videos that are on the YouTube channel as well. She said, let's just do it. So all I do is, she's the producer of it, and all I do is provide her the content, and then she slaps it all together and does stuff with it. But cool. It's called Harmony and Improvisation. It's both a podcast, and it's on my YouTube channel as well. Again, it's super niche. It's like it is definitely not those one-off how to play killer bebop jazz on 5-string banjo. It's not that kind of lesson. It's like a very methodical, slow, almost a dirge of going through how music works. And my goal is for people who don't have teachers really available in their area, but they want to learn about music, theory in particular, but how harmony works, improvisation. The goal of the podcast is to have people be able to hear something and have it explained what that is. A major scale, for instance, everybody knows what a major scale sounds like, but does everybody know what a fully altered dominant chord sounds like? It explains it and tunes your ears at the same time. So that's. But
again, it's more of a course than a self-contained lesson or something like that, right?
It's like it's a bazillion self-contained lessons that are actually part of one bigger stream of thought. Yes.
Yeah, of course. Well, great. I think that's mostly what I have, unless there's any other like funny Pat Cloud stories that we need to know about, or anything else that you think people should know.
The only thing that I would say is that I'm really attracted to people who push the envelope, who break through barriers. And even before Bela Fleck, Pat Cloud was the 5-string banjo player that made me realize that that instrument can be used to do anything. You could, I mean, I guess John McEuen in a way, because Opus 36 on the Uncle Charlie record was a classical tune. That actually helped me do that as well. But when I heard Pat play, I went, good grief, this guy's a blistering bluegrass player, but he also is a traditional bebop jazz player. And that when he burst through that envelope, burst through that barrier, it really, it opened up a world of music to me that I didn't think I was ever going to be able to use the 5-string banjo to play.
Yeah, that's so cool. Not much more inspiring than witnessing something like that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Doub. And of course, thank you again for the introduction and the hospitality from back when I was out in California and making all this happen.
No, I just really appreciate you entertaining, getting Pat's story told, and also for the podcast you do. It's tremendous. I listen to every single one of them, and they're just so much fun. I hope that the word continues to spread.
Well, thank you. It's a lot of fun for me too. So I appreciate the kind words. All right, take care, Doub.
You too.